Okay. I'd like to begin our final presentation of the conference, and I also want to thank Dick Hokanson once again for a truly fascinating perspective on what's going on around us. As I had told you at the beginning of that presentation, I don't think we look at the world enough in the terms and in the context that he looks at the world. And it is truly a unique perspective that we were all given today, and hopefully that will stick in the back of your minds for some time to come. Our next and final presenter is somebody that I am truly honored to have, not only because of the service that he has provided each and every one of us here in this room as a military officer for many, many years, but because he is truly a fascinating individual. Your homework assignment was to read a few pages out of the book Blink, and I hope that you did so because it would clearly set the tone for your expectations today. The book Blink was a fascinating book. It was one of those situations where I'm sitting in the airport waiting once again to get on another airplane, having visited one of you in the room here or coming back from, and cancellations, whatever. I said, well, gee, that looks like an interesting cover, and I picked it up and I couldn't put it down. Malcolm Gladwell, who is the author, is a very good writer. He wrote The Tipping Point as his first book. And if you have not read that book, I strongly suggest that you do, because it, again, will give you another perspective of how things become successful in our society and why it is that they are successful. Sometimes luck is more important than hard work, and sometimes the other way around. Let me get on to our speaker for today. Lieutenant General Van Riper retired from the Marine Corps in October of 1997 after more than 41 years of commission and enlisted service. He is a graduate of the Marine Corps Amphibious Warfare School, the Naval College of Command and Staff, and the Army War College. Since retirement, General Van Riper has served at various times as a member of several defense and service advisory boards and panels, including the National Defense University Board of Visitors, the National Research Council's Naval Studies Board, the Army Science Board, and the Institute for Defense Analysis Joint Advanced Warfighting Program. That's a lot. He is currently the chairman of the board of directors for the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation. General Van Riper continues to participate in an array of defense and security-related war games, seminars, and conferences, both in the United States and overseas, and he lectures frequently at professional military educational institutions. He also consults part-time for the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency and a number of commercial firms on defense and operational matters. His presentation is entitled, How to Be in Command and Out of Control. General, thank you very much for your time.
Bob, thank you very much. Well, first of all, I want to thank Bob for the opportunity to participate not only this morning, but all day yesterday. It was informative, interesting, a lot of insights, and I'm sure like each of you, there were things I agreed with and things I disagreed with, but it sure makes us think. Also for Liz Austin for all of her help in getting ready for this and all the administrative things that go behind a conference like this. And I'm sure all the other folks from SAGE have done a wonderful job. I've enjoyed our day and a half here. So. The theme I will have here this morning is that we live in an uncertain and changing world, and unexpected things happen, and we have unexpected results. And I want to illustrate that first by giving a personal example. My wife and I are blessed with two wonderful children, now both adults. Our son Steve is a major in the Marine Corps, and our daughter Cindy is a corporate recruiter for a big company in Washington, D.C. But when they were younger, particularly in their teenage years, our daughter Cindy had absolutely no interest in the military and no idea what her dad did for a living. Our son, by contrast, had a lot of interest and knew military things inside and out. Well, Cindy was in college down in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I had command of the 2nd Marine Division at Camp Lejeune, which is about 50 miles north of it. And up there, the next higher headquarters, the next larger unit, what's called an expeditionary force, several times a year would put on an exercise demonstrating all the capabilities of this force. And it was called a capabilities exercise, or CAPEX for short. In a space of about an hour and 15 minutes, all of the aircraft, the helicopters, artillery, tanks, individual Marines are all shown in action in a huge field in front of some grandstands. At the end of this, they land helicopters, they bring the jump jet, the Harrier jet back in, park it, roll several tanks back up, trucks, Humvees, Marines get out there, and the announcer says, ladies and gentlemen, come out and meet your Marines. I decided, a beautiful July day, that Cindy ought to go out and see this and at least get an idea of what her dad did as the commander of this infantry division. We went out in a large exercise like that. It's not unusual to have a few flaws, but this day was absolutely perfect. Beautiful day, everything went well. At the end of it, the announcer said, ladies and gentlemen, come out and meet your Marines. And Cindy left the grandstand, walked straight out to a helicopter where this young captain pilot was standing. And for 45 minutes, she talked to that captain and was briefed on this helicopter. Now remember, I have the infantry division. I'm interested in helicopters, they don't belong to me. So that night at dinner, we were talking. Steve, our son, was there, my wife, and I said to Cindy, I took you out there today to try to learn what Dad does. Why did you spend all that time with that helicopter pilot, that young captain? And she looked at me and she said, Dad, why are aviators better looking than ground officers? I didn't take that very kindly, and our son, who wanted to be a ground officer, didn't either. And so there was a little commotion there at the table. My wife decided the better part of valor she'd leave, and so she walked off. And Cindy knew she was in some difficulty, so she's trying to recover. And she said, well, Dad, it's probably that flight suit they wear. That makes the difference. Well, it just happened I had a flight suit because I'd had an opportunity to fly a couple times, and that was sort of a souvenir. So she and Steve were battling this particular thing out. I slipped away from the table, went up to the bedroom, very quickly stripped off my clothes, put on this flight suit, walked down, came through the door, and she looked up at me and she said, no, Dad, that's not it. So you get unexpected outcomes. Let me say, I'm not sure what the attribution policy is here today, but I have great, disregard for those senior military officials, particularly when I was on active duty, who ever speak off the record or not for attribution. So I don't care anything I've said to you in any of our side conversations, anything you might say here, you are welcome to quote me anywhere you want. Now, maybe Sage doesn't want to be attributed to what I say, but other than that, nothing is ever off the record in what I say or any questions and answers. I want to begin by talking about the title. How to be in command and out of control. And of course, we normally think out of control is something bad. A car or an airplane out of control is not something you want. My argument will be any modern organization, whether it's a military organization or a industry or business, that tries to stay in control, where actually somebody is controlling the levers of that organization,